A bad account structure in Google Ads can completely waste your Google Ads efforts. And I'm talking about the results, the speed of getting results, and also your budget long term. But don't worry, I will teach you guys what the account structure is. It's really important. And we'll go through this simply. It's not really that complex. Hopefully you guys get over your account structure issues after this video. So the account structure in Google Ads almost always gravitates towards consolidation and segmentation. It does go on to different aspects, but if you guys can understand these two, I think you could potentially go a long way. So what is consolidation? Consolidation is pretty much just condensing stuff. And why do we do it in Google Ads? So that we can saturate data into one point. So machine learning has condensed data pools. So smart bidding needs statistically significant data volumes in order to make better decisions instead of making, really empty decisions simply because it has lesser amounts of conversion data. Now, what do I mean by conversion data? It's pretty much the data you get from the conversions which you convert. So if data is dispersed across different points, the machine learning is poorer simply because it's all fragmented. We need to pass a certain threshold in order to make machine learning richer in its decision making. But if we have, all these different data, fragmented and not consolidated, all of these conversion data is going to be split, and you need to have it all together in order to, total out. If you have your structure consolidated in an effective manner, all of your conversion data, if you get conversions, gets pulled in together. So the threshold is much faster to meet. Whereas if it's fragmented, you might get 10 conversions in this campaign, 5 in this campaign, 2 in this campaign, and another 5 in another. You need to individually match up all those campaigns to, that certain threshold. Whereas if you pool those together, your journey in Google Ads pretty much gets faster if you get conversions and it all gets pulled in. So we stack the data. So machine learning is fast and cheaper long term. Here's the thing. I know I'm just talking about consolidation right now, but consolidation is not always the right answer. It could completely mess up your performance, and it can completely mess up what you see in Google Ads, what you see in your dashboard, and the accuracy of your data. Now let's go on to segmentation. So segmentation is pretty much when you fragment campaigns or ad groups for relevancy or accuracy so that you can have relevant, accurate data projections. However, there's also more to the list. For example, when it comes to ad group, you should segment ad groups in a themed manner so that it meets with the searcher's intent, and that's really important. Okay, so you might be wondering, like, why does this guy have a tub and a glass of water? So this is an analogy which you guys can follow. So pretty much when you have a large tub, okay, let's say a large tub, and I want you guys to focus on the base area. The tub obviously has a wider base. If we fill both of these at the same time with the same rate of water, what fills up faster? Obviously, it makes sense if the glass of water fills up faster simply because it has lesser area to fill up. And that's what I mean by consolidation. Assume the brim is the conversion threshold which you need to meet to make your machine learning, effective. So this is going to fill up faster and meet up with the conversion threshold faster simply because it's condensed. And that's what I mean by consolidation. It grow much faster simply because the tub's base is more wider and, distributed. It's going to take a long time to fill up to the brim. There's more to fill up. Hopefully you guys understood that. However, segmentation is actually really important. I know I'm just focusing on consolidation, but segmentation, there is a time and place for that. All right, so now that we talked about consolidation and segmentation, and now we know some of the benefits and the logic based off of the analogy which I gave, let's move on. When do we consolidate and when do we segment? So when to segment, if goals differ. Let's say you're an e-commerce website and you do ads. If you have product A, which has 20% margins, and if you have product B, which has a 40% margin, and you have those two together, condensed, consolidated into one campaign, how can we possibly set a TCPA or a TROAS for this campaign, either without losing money or without losing efficiency? If we have a TCPA goal that's based off of our 40% product, our 40% margin product, and if we meet that threshold, but we have another product within that campaign, it has 20% margins, and assuming that they have, the same or similar prices overall, you'll be making a loss in product A simply because the goals differ. And these differences in goals kind of goes much deeper. So like I said, if goals differ, we segment. Type of products, we segment. If we sell shoes and we also sell carpets, we should segment the carpets from the shoes. They are completely different products. And also location-based segmentation. If you run ads in Australia, but you also run ads in the UK. They both have different time zones, which also makes sense for segmentation, and location goes a bit deeper as well. And also brand only campaigns. Now, this is not in the list, but not just brand only campaigns, but the overall strategy. You might be using a full funnel strategy, which actually makes sense, obviously, to, segment different types of campaigns. And I will be talking about that later in this video, and also differences in audiences. These are a list of points where you can segment. But now let's move on to consolidation. Consolidation is pretty much where it makes sense. So segmentation and consolidation has a really inverted relationship. If it's not segmentation, it's got to be consolidated. If it's the similar product or services or similar goals, for example, if your location doesn't differ in your consolidation scenario, there's another variable which you can add to make a decision. Should we consolidate this? It needs to make sense. So having the full funnel strategy is another reason to segment. If you have remarketing campaigns or cold only campaigns, these are all reasons which you can use segmentation towards. For example, you can actually use PMAX and search together, even though they can overlap with each other in certain scenarios, because PMAX can have its own strategy in the funnel aside from the search and the shopping which we introduced together. But there is a way you can actually prioritize your search campaigns from showing up if you overlap with your PMAX campaigns. And also, just additional information, the timing it takes to do all of this can be extended significantly, simply because your account structure can be fragmented and overly segmented, and your budget can be wasted long term if you have a bad account structure. Now, here's the thing about account structure. So your structure should be considered before you go live. This is not something which we extend 3 to 4 months simply so that we can get to the goals faster. However, if you're already running Google Ads, if you're already doing the campaign and you probably realize that your account structure is all messed up, you can fix it. So if you have not run ads yet, you should structure it before you go live. If you have already gone live, you can start now, it's not too late. And also, let's go over to the ad group structure. We need to structure the ad groups in a way that it's themed out. For example, let's say we have one campaign that's based off of a plumbing service. The potential themes that we can have for plumbing can be emergency, generic, and even affordability. It can be residential, commercial. These are themes under the same plumbing service. And why do we do this? Why do we segment emergency? Why do we segment different stuff? It's to make the ad copy reflect what the user is searching for. If they search up for emergency plumbers near me, that is considered a high intent transactional keyword. And we focus separately for different types of users so that we can focus the ad copy, but also we can focus the landing page. If we send clicks based off of emergency searches to our generic site, don't be surprised if your conversion rates are completely off. You have to make your ad copy and your landing page reflect what the users are searching for. This doesn't mean you should overly segment your ad groups. Pretty much just make sure that your message is in line with what the users are searching for. And the benefits you see from this is not just from the account structure. This can improve your click-through rate, that's one. Can improve your conversion rate simply because you could be sending users to the right landing page. So the friction of converting is lesser, and also your quality scores improve. And this quality score metric can reduce your CPCs. You do not need hundreds of ad groups for misspellings or minimal keyword differences. Let's say you target plumber near me. You can still show up to users searching up for plumbers near me, or near me plumbers, or plumbers near me with spelling mistakes. If the intent of your keyword is really, really close, you can still show up to certain keywords which you are not directly targeting. So yeah, that was the account structure for Google Ads. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video, and check out my other videos.